Hello, amazing you. Welcome and thank you for joining us on Chat Hour today. If you're returning, welcome and thank you. And if you are stopping by for the very first time, welcome and thank you. I am super elated to have Mr. Taiwo Akinlami in person on Chat Hour today. Is a parenting educator, is a child rights advocate. Welcome, Mr. Taiwo Akinlami. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you today. I love the way you do your show. I love the excitement, the energy, the power. Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But unfortunately, we're not talking about something exciting today. Recently, I don't know if everybody has seen it, because yes, it went viral and Nigerians know about this. If you are not in Nigeria and you're watching this. So recently, a 12-year-old boy of Dowen College, Lekki, Lagos, passed on, and it was alleged that it was beaten and it was bullied by other students in the school. Now there was a video that was making the rounds, and in the video you could see the boy writhing in pains, and his lips were swollen and they looked peeled, and it was also said that that it was allegedly said that it was given a substance to drink. Now here is the backstory in case you did not get all the story. He was in the boarding house, and I think the parents lived in Warri, or they live in Warri, and so they brought him to the boarding house in Lagos. And it was supposed to turn 12 on December the 4th. I think that was last Saturday. And they said they called the parents that he was sick, and that they sent the uncle because they couldn't come immediately because they lived in Warri, or they live in Warri, so they had to, send the uncle. Eventually, they got him back to Warri. But before then, according to the school responded to what has been making the rounds, and then they said that it was playing football, that it was injured, and that when it was injured, it was attended to by the school nurse. And people are not having it, in the sense that it's packed outrage online. People have been talking about it, and there are so many questions that are begging for answers. Questions like, did the school do enough to protect Sylvester Oromoni? Did the school have strong policies of anti-cultism, which they said they do have? Since we are here, the child has passed on. Yes, it is sad. It is so unfortunate. How did we get here? What is now going to happen? Is it that afterwards people will talk about it, it will be sensationalism, and then they will just sweep it under the carpet, and after a while we won't hear anything about it again, and maybe in another 6 months another child dies and people shout the way we do in this part of the world, and then it dies down and it continues, the trend continues like that? What do you think about this?
Well, I think what has happened in Dowen College is very sad. It's appalling. It's horrifying. My wife and I welcomed our first child.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. After 15 years of marriage, or close to 15 years of marriage, because that child came on the 25th of October, and wedding anniversary of 15 wedding anniversary was November 25th. So like a month before our 15th wedding anniversary. I know my attachment to that child, 6 weeks old. I know how I see him. I know the investment we have made, not in terms of money alone, but in terms of emotion, in terms of attachment. So I'm talking about a 6 weeks old child, not to talk of a family that has raised a child for 12 years, and life was snuffed out of the child in a place that is supposed to be the safest place for the child. The child was not a tout in the motor park garage. Even a tout, so-called, in a motor park garage does not deserve to be killed under the law. So this child was not roaming around the street. The child was given to protect us. Because the number one responsibility of a school is not to teach, is to protect children. In Section 2 of the Child Rights Act, the Child Rights Act gives responsibility to schools, to religious places of worship, to everywhere children are gathered, to protect them. That is the provisions of the law. You must protect them. Number one, there must be standards set by constituted authorities, appropriate authorities, regulatory authorities that you must follow. And so for me to take my child somewhere And for me to be called that something has happened to the child, and the people who are supposed to be responsible for the child have no credible answers to give, I think it is sad. In my opinion, I believe that the question is, where were the people that were supposed to look after the child when, that incident happened? Where were they? So this is the point for me. I believe the school is an accessory before the fact, in the sense that they created an enabling environment for this crime.
Yeah.
Number two is that the school is an accessory after the fact, in that they are trying to cover up this allegation. Because what they are saying to us does not make sense, and I don't see how any meaningful member of society would take that. What are they saying? They said the boy was playing football and it was injured during football. How does football lead to substance in the mouth that messed up the whole mouth from the pictures that we have seen? How does playing football make the liver of the boy to swell? According to the report that the doctors have, the report that has been released. How does playing football make a child to have wound all over his body? And if it was football, it means those children were exercising their right to play. If they were exercising their right to play, were they supposed to play without adult supervision? The right of the child to play does not include the right of the child to play without supervision. Is that ought not to be so? Then lastly, is that even if adults are playing football, if it becomes violent, won't the football be stopped? So what's this whole idea about the fact that he was playing football as if that exonerates the school? And let me say, I have inside information that school does not have a child protection policy. They don't have a child protection system codified into policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained. No standard, nothing. And they are running a school, a six-figure paying school, and nothing is happening there in terms of protection of children. So I think it's very sad. I
will come in there. I'm going to interrupt you there. Now, you have talked about they pay so much in that school, and people have been saying that how can you take your child to a school where you pay 1 million or more or something of that sort, and at the end of the day this is what you get. I understand that in schools there is classism in the sense that maybe you have parents who are richer than other parents, and so when they pay school fees, they also give maybe the principal or vice principal or somebody, they give them additional money, they give them stuff, they give them gifts, so they give preferential treatments most of the time to certain students, and they're not giving to certain students. I don't know if that is the case, because according to the to what we heard, that some of this or one of them has been flown abroad. One of the people responsible, allegedly responsible for this, has been taken away. And it's almost like the parents are covering up for the children that are involved in this. What do you say to this? I mean, do you see this happen even in rich schools?
What happens is this. You see, there will always be preferential treatment, because where there's no standard, where there's no balance. From what we are hearing, that school did not run a standard of protection. Now see, children will exhibit the tendencies to bully for one reason or the other. You can't leave the peace of the school to children who decide to misbehave. There has to be a way you can curb it, you can control it, and you can ensure that other children are safe. When you are not able to do that, then you endanger everybody. It's like you register in an estate, you live in an estate, and you pay for everything, security and all of that, and the estate just decides to throw the gate open. And the estate is telling us that we are sorry, there's nothing we can do about your safety. When they come another year to ask for your due, are you going to pay the due? So the foundational thing is that there can be preferential treatment. Preferential treatment will happen when teachers are not educated to know that all children are equal, to know that these children, there's no child that is in school as proxy for another. Every child is in school being paid for, even if they are from the same family. They are there as individuals, though being generally educated. So that is the foundational thing. When you don't have all of this on board, then what you are going to find is that you're going to find preferential treatment. You're going to find when one child appeared to be preferred to the other. But the foundational issue is this. If children are going to be safe in school, it's not a function of wishing. It's not a function of hoping. You don't hope, you do. You don't wish, you will. You know, because you see, in 2016, I was invited by the Lagos State government to work on a policy for the entire Lagos State for child protection. And I worked with the Lagos State government for close to 2 years. We put that policy together, working with other people. At the end of the day, that policy came into existence, signed as an executive order in Lagos State. The question to us, and that policy makes it mandatory, that it is now mandatory for everywhere children are gathered for children to be protected, for there to be a system codified into policies, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained on their role so that they can be able to play that role if anything goes wrong. The question today is, how many schools in Lagos State have adopted that policy? How many schools have their teachers trained? How many? That's the question. I'm an insider. I work within the school system. I've worked within the school system since 1997. Since when I started a club called Heights Club, where we're trying to educate young people about the hazard of drug addiction and cultism. You know, I've been in the school system since then. And I know the school system inside out, and I can tell you categorically that Dowen is not alone in not having a child protection system codified into policy, broken down into processes. If you choose to do the survey, you go around, you'll be shocked at what you are going to be hearing. And parents also are not helping issues. If you take your child to a school, you ask them, is my child safe? What do you expect them to say?
They will tell you
They're going to tell you that your child is safe. It is your responsibility to ask, what machineries have you put in place to ensure that my child is safe?
And you're supposed to sign documents?
You are supposed to sign documents. You are supposed to ask, what machineries have you put in place to ensure that my child is safe? And let me quickly say this to you before you ask your next question. The truth is that Sylvester Oromoni died is not new. Since in the last 15 years, many children have died in schools. In
fact, there is a child that was almost going to die, but did not die. I don't know whether you heard of the case of Don Davis.
Don Davis, yes.
Yes, it was a Deeper Life School.
Yes.
And this is a missionary school. That is what they call them. And in missionary schools, in fact, parents, even if they don't attend if they don't attend the church, they believe that because a church or a religious organization is in charge of this, they feel very comfortable to take their children there. And that is what according to Don Davis' mother, that was what she said. And she said that she went to school she said she had a dream, and in the dream she saw that the child was not talking, was looking away from her and all that. She felt somehow, and she told her husband, and her husband said, you know what, let's just pray. No, let's pray about it. And so she said that no, we're not just going to pray about it, I'm going to go there. So she took that step and went there. And so when she got there, she saw the child was looking very lean. She said she understands that when you're not at home, you're in the boarding house, you might lose some weight, but this one was extraordinary. It was bedwetting. The child was bedwetting at home before they took him to school. So he continued bedwetting. And she said one of those things that she told them at school when it was resuming, it was going to resume in that school, was that he was bedwetting. And they said, she said she brought Macintosh, and they said, no problems, that they have stuff and all that. And the child, according to the child, said that they now took him to the senior dormitory. He started sleeping there. And then they will call him, they will ask him to go and wear his clothes, and that is when they want to eat, and before he comes they would have finished the food, and so he won't have any food to eat. And they will call him the senior guys, and they will say he should remove his boxers, or he will be in his boxers. They will be making jest of him, and they will be putting their feet in his anus. That is
that's a form of sodomy.
Yes, it's a sodomy. I mean, how do you? And so in fact, when he got home and the woman was still questioning, the woman had to say that I'm your mother, talk to me, because he was still scared and all that. That guy would have been, that case would have been another case of Sylvester if that woman did not take that action. And even afterwards, the school was not remorse. But right now, they said that, according to them, they said that it's already in the police custody.
But this is the point. I've studied circumstances under which children have died in schools in the last 15 years. And I can tell you categorically that all of those cases, all of them, almost all of them, the schools are culpable. The schools always have questions to answer. Unfortunately, nobody's asking the question.
So how are we going to get to the root of this?
So for me to get to the root of it is that, number one, is that let me encourage parents. When you take your child to school, ask them, what machinery do they have in place to ensure children are protected? What anti-bullying policy do you have? What policy do you have? Even, in a child protection system, there's what we call safer recruitment. How do you recruit your staff? The people you are going to give our children to, are they sane? What is the level of supervision of children in terms of leaving them on their own? These are fundamental questions that you need to ask. The other day, a woman called me many years ago, I think 10 years ago, and asked me, Mr. Kinami, can I send my 8-year-old daughter, to a boarding school? I said, madam, you are asking the wrong person, because you are the only one who should know whether you can send your 8-year-old to a boarding school or not, because I'm not in your family. I don't know this girl. I don't know how you have trained her. So I said, there are fundamental questions I think you should ask yourself before you send your child to a boarding school. So I did a production which I called 11. So you want to send your child to a boarding school, ask this 11 child protection focus question. And I said the number one question is that, is the child an ambassador of your value system as a family? Is he going there to represent your value system? Because once you send your child to a boarding school, the boarding school students become the primary influence in the life of your child. If your child is not well established in your own value system, you're going to see that your child will mingle and will mix, and there will be a problem. Number two is the fact that, have you trained your child to be able to speak for himself or speak for herself? That she can speak up, he can speak up. It doesn't wait until the oppression has gotten to a level she cannot handle again. That's when she begins to speak up. Number three, I said, is your child able to hold his or her own? Is she able to speak up? Is she able to speak up? Is she able to report? Is she able to escalate? Then does the school have a child protection policy codified into a system, broken down into processes on which everybody within the school system is trained? Does the school have that? If the school has such policy, how often do they review it? Do they review that policy to ensure that it conforms with recent developments in society? So these are fundamental questions. Then the issue is that you need to ask yourself the question, how did we come about the whole idea of boarding school? Boarding school came about by clergy, by people who saw certain behavior, certain value that were compatible with yours in another family or clergy. And what did they decide to do? So they decided to send their children to those families, particularly clergy, to go and learn those principles, those value systems that they find there. As a matter of fact, as a way of also confirming to those children that this value system we are talking about is also being practiced somewhere else, to give it credibility and validation. Now, that's how the whole idea of boarding school started. So, which means the foundational thing when you want to send your child to a boarding school is that your child is going to a place to meet a people who share the same value system with you. Now, people say they send their children to school to go and learn independence. I say, no, you can't send your child to a school to go and learn independence. The child needs to be independent first. Knows how to hold his or her own before you send him to boarding school. You say you send him to boarding school to go and learn independence. What kind of independence? So the foundational thing there for the way forward, I think, is that parents need to begin to ask critical questions. Critical questions to say, what measures do you have in place to protect our children? And parents need to listen to their children a lot, because children come back home. Look at the Sylvester case.
Yeah.
The father told story of many things that has happened.
Yeah.
The father, the child sometimes, most of the time, was not happy going back to school. The father, the child has told him the kind of things they were saying about the sister. And at the end of the day, he ended up pulling out the sister out of that school. The truth of the matter is that, why didn't he pull out the boy also? But you see, we can't blame. It has happened. We can't blame the dad. But it becomes lessons for us. There's no school that should be too big to answer our questions. If a school says it's too big to answer your question, then the school is too big to collect your money. Then you go away. But let me now tell you a pathetic story. In my program, where I said 11 things to consider before you send your child to boarding school, I told a story there, and I want to tell you that story. Okay. Here. A boy was going to school in one of the biggest schools in Oyo State. Okay. And it was in junior secondary school. All right. And they had a matron who was just impossible. And the matron said, Sometimes she goes to the toilet and found poo on the floor. And nurse warned them that the next time she went to the toilet, if you children cannot handle yourself, if I find poo there, you guys are going to lick it.
Oh.
I'm telling you the truth.
No.
It's in the CD.
So I was even going to tell you this because I went to the boarding house. And one day, somebody defecated somewhere. And then the senior said we should come out and line up. And so they said we should start pinching the physics. So if the line ended and the physics is still there, we line up again till we cleared it. We were pinching with our fingers. In fact, I never told my parents this. If they are going to hear it, they are going to hear it for the very first time.
So
and
can you imagine that?
That happened to me.
Yes, in this case, the matron said the children should lick the defecation. They should lick.
You don't mean it like they
should lick it. But what happened was that one of the children revolted and said, "No, I cannot," and shouted, and everybody got to know, and the children were rescued. So this is where I'm going. So I now asked the woman who was telling me this story to say, I hope the matron was sacked.
And that was the matron. This were even seniors.
Yes.
I mean,
now matron seniors is not understandable, is wrong, but it's not comparable to when the person is supposed to be the caregiver in charge. Now and I said, I hope they fired the lady. The mother said they didn't fire her. They warned her. They warned her because there's no system in place. There's no system in place that determines what happens. You see, when you care for children, to care for children is to anticipate the needs of children, to anticipate the threats to them, to now make adequate preparation to meet those needs and mitigate those threats well before they arise. That is the meaning of care. So when something like that happens, there must be processes through which that matron will go through, and you will decide what you want to do. But when those processes don't exist, you will just treat the case anyhow. You look at how long is it going to take us, how long has she been in the school, maybe 15 years, how long is it going to take us to get another matron, maybe even the matron wants to get is going to do worse, and all of that. You leave the woman there. But that's not where I'm going. And I asked the woman, I said, I hope now that the school failed to sack this woman, you've removed your child from there. Say, Mr. Killer, me, I can't remove my child from there.
Why?
Because that's where I'm going. He said, I'm busy, their dad is busy. The time we are supposed to go and try and be looking for another school and all of that is not there. So we are praying for him. God is going to look after him.
So what is that thing with being religious, saying that you will pray and then you're not putting in
Let me
action?
tell you another pathetic story.
And then parents going to work, you're going to work for money, right? To take care of these children. When you go early in the morning and then you come back late at night, or you go and put them in a boarding house and you don't physically, do your own parts. You think money can buy love, can buy care, can buy all those things. What happens? I mean, how do we begin to tell parents that making money, having money, paying expenses, school fees, are not just enough?
It's not enough. So this is what I'm going to say. I understand the pressure of the Nigerian parent. Nigerian parent is going through a lot of pressure because, you see, there are 4 wings of protection. When it comes to parenting, there are 4 institutions: the family, the community, the state, the international community. Now, the role of the family is to prepare their children a moral compass to follow, is to inculcate positive value system in their children. That is the fundamental role of the family. Now, in a developed clime, it is not the responsibility of the family to pay school fees. That's not the primary responsibility of the family. It's not the responsibility of the family to care for health. In the developed clime, a lot of provisions, a lot of social service, we call it social protection, is available for parents. So parents are able to focus on other things while their children grow. But here, the case is different. When you are a family man or a family woman, you are running like a local government chairman. You are responsible for everything. So you are caught between 2 opinions. Now, look at, you are between pillar and post. Now, look at it now. For example, in Lagos State, there are 1,900 public schools competing with over 18,000 private schools. Now, the advent of private schools is the failure because of the failure of the public schools. If the public schools were working, why would people hoard their children to private schools? The public schools have failed. Now, the public schools failed. Now, who failed the public school? Because the government is the one that is regulating public school. They are the one that are supposed to they are the one who owns public schools and regulate public schools, and they are now supposed to regulate private school. But a government that failed in regulating, in monitoring their own school, funding their own school, you want them to come and now be the one that would regulate private school? It's not likely to happen. So the regulator that we need within the private school sector are the parents. Now, so the real regulators within the school system should be the parents.
Okay.
Because they are the ones who take their children there. And when they take their children there, it is their responsibility to ask the critical question. If the government has two roles to play in education, to regulate and to fund, to run their own schools, if they have failed woefully in running their own schools, which gave rise to the advent of private schools, how come we are still now thinking that it is this same government that will regulate the private schools? Somebody's mother died. He went to push him in the bush without giving her befitting burial. When you now die, you now put in your will that I depend on so person who did not bury his own mother to give me befitting burial. It's not going to work. If government failed in regulating their own schools, and that led us to where we are right now, where our destiny is in the hand of private schools, we as parents that are working through our nose, working tooth and nail, we must make it a point of duty to become the regulators and begin to ask critical questions. The question is not, are my children safe? The question is, what machinery have you put in place to ensure that my children are safe? This is what I'm saying. I said I was telling a school that, look, when it comes to anti-bullying remedies, there's the policy position, there's the training position. Because the purpose of a school is for both learning outcome and behavioral outcome. Now, a lot of times, all of the investment of the school is on learning outcome. Excursion outside Nigeria is on learning outcome. Everything is on technical skill. If your child is not doing well in maths, you hire an extra lesson teacher. You hire an English teacher. But when your child does not greet, you shout through it. My friend, greet. Now, this is the question. You forget that for the child to do well in maths, the child needs skill. For the child to greet needs interpersonal skill. Now, so you recognize the skill that is necessary for him to do well in maths. You get an expert, a lesson teacher, to teach him or to teach her. Now, when the child does not greet and it does not have respect for people, you shout through it. You forget to recognize that it is a skill that the child does not have. They call it interpersonal skill. They call it soft skill. And instead of you to reach out to an expert, you reach out to your voice, you shout. So at the end of the day, we find schools raising brilliant children, but who have become intelligent devils. Now, Ben Carson told the story of his own story. You know, it was the bottom of the class. Then one day he answered a question in class. Then one day he became the best in class. Then he discovered that idea of becoming the best in class got into his head. And he began to misbehave until he began to work on himself, worked on his character. It's not enough for you to do well in math. It's not enough for you to do well in English. You must be doing well in character. And I said that Harvard University has found that 80% of success in life is traceable to soft skill, is traceable to interpersonal skill, is traceable to negotiating skill, is traceable to coping skill, is traceable to resilience. 80% of success in life, in the workplace. Now, Ziegler now says that in all his life, Ziegler worked with Fortune 500 CEOs, and he said what he had found is that greatest CEOs in the world who are making a difference are people with great civility and deportment, people that are humble, people that are secured in themselves. Now, Obama was asked, what is your greatest secret of success or in leadership? He said, I hired those who are smarter than me. It takes security. It takes, confidence in yourself for you to hire those who you believe are smarter than you. And what we are saying today is that if all the investment of schools is on math, English, geography, all of these subjects, excursion on geography and all of that. If that is all your effort, you will then what the result you are going to get is children that are good in maths, good in English, but they are not responsible. Now, but if you add to your learning outcome, you add if you add to your investment in learning outcome, you now add to it investment in behavioral outcome, you are going to see a lot of results. And that is what we need to begin to look at. Parents need to invest in behavioral outcome. School needs to invest in behavioral outcome. The way we are investing in learning outcome today, unfortunately, most of our efforts are on learning outcome. You know, when people want to get a school for their children, do they look for if they are well behaved? You know, the children, do they greet? Is that what they look for? No. How did they do in the last WAEC? How did they do in the last common entrance? How many A's are the children getting? That is what we are concerned about a lot of times. And so if that is what you are concerned about, you walk into the school and they show you the results. But whether those children are in the court, whether they are sodomizing other children, parents don't care. Okay. As long as it's school, and you see, there's something that Sylvester's father said. He said, academically, the school is trying. The school is trying. But what is the purpose of academy now? With all the academic excellence now, the boy is no more.
Oh my God. So I was going to ask, you know, because I don't know if you saw one story like that. There was one boy that was in the news, not a Nigerian, and so they were asking him. He said he wanted to be a killer, that he wanted to be a murderer. I saw it. You know, because he said he will kill everybody in the world. He will spare his family members, and people were laughing. And I thought it wasn't even a laughing.
Story on it.
I did not, but maybe I touched on it before. Okay. But one thing is, I did not find it funny because these are children. You say, oh, a child does not know anything. They are so innocent. Their mind like tabula rasa, you know, and all this. When you're breastfeeding a child and the child bites you, the mother, on the breast or bites the nipple, and then you take the hand of the child and you just bite it a bit, do you know that the child will not do it the next time? But I'm serious. How that happens, I don't know. As a baby, it's a trick. It happens and it works. The child will not do that thing again. And I keep wondering, there are no children anywhere. Even if you think that they are babies, they know stuff. Why do they say that pregnant women should sing favorite songs to children when they are still in the tummy? They should do this, they hear, they listen, and all of those things.
Children listen from the womb.
They listen from the womb.
They hear from them.
So you can imagine, if these things are happening, then you're not saying that they don't know anything. They do know something. So if this small child was saying that he wants to be a killer, and if they don't take care of him psychologically, they don't talk to him, because there was another one in the news. These children, they were in a supermarket and they actually lured another child into the corner and they killed him. And they did not feel any remorse, because when they asked one of them, said, oh, we killed him. They start from killing like maybe stray cats, this, that, and they just enjoy seeing the blood and all of this. Now, the family is the bedrock of the society. When parents don't do their own parts, they leave the society to, they give us nuisance. They give us children who are untrained, and then the society begins to deal with these children, with these things that they have given us. What is actually the role of parent? Because these children that bullied Sylvester in school, they come from families, and perhaps they were not well trained, of course, from their own homes, and now they have taken them to boarding house to mix with other people. There is danger.
This is what I'm going to say to them. See, there is a misconception as to who parents are. You know that when Anini reigned in Old Bendel, he wasn't killing his family members. He was killing members of society. Now, those who cause trouble for society, they don't unleash terror on their family members. They hardly do. In some instances, they do. But most cases, they kill people that are outside their family. Look at this child who said, I will only kill from outside my family. So anytime you see that a child is not doing well, and you choose not to contribute to the sanity of the child, you might just be digging your own grave. So it is important for us to see ourselves. I was training a group of schools 2 days ago, and I told them, I said, look, you need to take responsibility for these children as your own, because they're actually your own. Because at the end of the day, if they do well, you reap it. If they don't do well, you are also going to reap it. Now, that's a general statement. Now, going to parents. The primary parents have a responsibility because through you, these children came to this world. Whether you adopted them, whether you gave birth to them, whichever way, you invited them. Because you invited them, it is irresponsible for you to invite someone to your space and not prepare for how to receive the person, and not prepare for the well-being of the person. It is irresponsible. So I want to charge parents, very, very important, that we know that you are busy. We know that the country is taking a toll on you. We know that there's a lot that you are doing for your children. But what is the essence of all your labor now when you put your child in a place that you cannot vouch for? Now, Mr. Olakunle says a stranger is anybody you cannot vouch for, right? So a stranger can be a school principal. A stranger can be a matron. A stranger can be a brother, can be a sister. You don't leave your children in the company of strangers and you call them school owners, school teachers, school directors. There's no such thing. Until you are sure that your children are safe, you're not supposed to leave your children in the custody of anyone, because at the end of the day, all that happened now, we are commiserating, we are talking, we are doing everything. But the persons that are feeling it most are the parents of Sylvester, are the siblings of Sylvester, are the extended family members of Sylvester. But I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that this death was preventable. The red flags were there for this death not to have happened if there had been caution when caution was beckoning at us. Unfortunately, as a society, as a school, and as members of society, we failed to hear the yearning, the cry of that child for help. Say, help me, I don't want to die. Unfortunately, as at the time we were available to help him or to help that boy was already gone. Many years ago, I wrote an article. I said, the placard that children are carrying around today is vacancy. Parents apply within. Vacancy. Parents apply within. Children are carrying that placard. They are saying, there's a vacancy here. Please, parents apply. And a lot of times, good people don't apply. Pedophiles apply. Terrorists apply. Killers apply. Those who want to destroy the children, they are the ones that apply. Because good people are busy. Now, please note, let me give you a quick, let me analyze it for you. Good people, you are a good woman, right? And you are doing your business. Is that not so? You face your business. You are a broadcaster. You do your thing. Is that not what you are doing? You focus on it. The pedophile also is into enterprise of abusing people. That's his own work.
And he's facing it.
He's facing it squarely. So, and he knows that for him to achieve his enterprise, he can't afford not to show care. So we show care to you. How are you? Is mommy around? Is mommy is not around? Is daddy around? Is daddy's not around? Okay. God bless you. Bye. He will go. He's trying to profile the child though. Trying to familiarize himself. He comes along another day. Mommy is not around. Yes. Have you eaten? He said, yes, I've eaten. But you can drink some. You can. He said, no, mommy. Don't worry. Just drink. Begins to get close to our children. Because those who want to destroy our children, they have more time. They have more strategy that they want to use to get close to our children than we that we want to protect them. Before we know it, they have access to our children. Before we know it, they begin to mess up our children. Before we know it, we are not even aware of what is happening to our children. Now, I don't know if you have seen this video that went viral. CP, Community of Parents and Educators on Facebook, they did a town hall meeting on Saturday, where a teacher was saying he taught in this particular school 9 years ago, and he was saying that this thing has been there for 9 years. And one woman was shouting from the crowd in the town hall meeting to say, why are you just speaking now? My child nearly died. My child went through all of this in the same school. Why are you just speaking now? The truth of the matter is that this thing did not start today. Sylvester is the sacrificial lamb. Sylvester today is the one that has brought this thing to the fore. But the only way we're going to make sure that this boy does not die in vain. The only way we're going to make sure that the boy does not die in vain, because, which story can keep the attention of the world for too long? The story is fleeting. It's like this status, 24-hour status on Instagram.
It goes away.
On WhatsApp is going to go away. Whether we like it or not, no matter what we do, this news is going to go away. Another news is going to break. Another news just broke now. 17 students yesterday crushed to death. You see, that one is going to take. It's going to be overtaking this one very soon. Are you getting it?
Very soon. Are going to be asking, Christmas is around the corner, and people are going to enjoyment is going to cover it.
So, but what is it that we can do to immortalize this process is to take the lessons that as parents we are going to ask questions. That's number one. Number two is to now insist that anywhere you want to take your child must have a child protection system codified into policies, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained. It's for you to know that anywhere children are gathered, whether it is a religious place of worship, whether it is a school, whether it is a group, a recreation center, a hospital, anywhere that does not have a child protection system codified into policies, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained, such place is a potential crime scene, and crime is going to happen in a scene that is prepared for it. Are you getting it? You see, because for crime to happen, there has to be a scene. What we are saying is that today, if you still believe in this whole idea that something that government has said is mandatory is not mandatory, and you ask a school, do you have a child protection system codified into policy, broken down into processes on which everybody is trained, including the children? If they do not have, they are a potential crime scene. If you put your child there, you yourself, you are assessing before the fact, you are encouraging, you are developing, you are contributing, you are investing in a crime scene. That school fees that you are paying is an investment in a crime scene. You have to stop it. We have to be up and doing. Let me tell you something. There's an association in the US called MAD, Mothers Against Drunkenness or Drunken Driver or something. It was a woman who lost her child to a drunken driver and started an association, and women began to come together to say, no, we are not going to allow this to happen again. We're going to sensitize our husband, we're going to sensitize society, we're going to make sure that those who do this kind of thing are brought to book. We need to arise. That's what the Aruloguns have done. Aruloguns lost their daughter, their only daughter, in a school, and they started an organization against negligence in school. They've done a lot. And so I want to charge us as parents, the only way Sylvester is not going to die in vain is for us to now insist that what has happened to him does not happen to any other child. And the way we can insist is to insist on system, is to insist on child protection system, codified into policy, broken down into processes, on which everybody within the school system is trained regularly, including the child, including the parents must be trained. And we must go beyond this idea of the only way to address bullying is just to discipline children, punish children. No, the best way to address bullying is to also pay attention to behavioral outcome the same way we are paying attention to learning outcome.
All right, that will be your conclusion, right,
Yes.
Mr. Akinlami? Thank you so much, Mr. Akinlami, for coming on Chat Hour today. It's been so wonderful. I really, really appreciate you. And I really do hope that you're going to take what we have learned here and we're going to start putting them into action already, because, I mean, that is just the way to go, because this incident is just very sad and so many have happened. All right. Thank you so much for watching. What exactly do you think about this post? Kindly drop down there in the comment section. Now, if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and then turn on the notification bell. And if you consider this video a good one, kindly smash the like button. All right, till I come your way again, let's the conversation continue. Thank you so much. Thank you.